as you're gonna be.
Yep.
Okay. Then we will begin. Always fun to begin, to get going, to slip into the night as it was. Oh, it's been a hot minute. Is it next week that we have to do a bye week, Holly?
Yes, it is.
Yes, next week you have to work, so next week we will not be live on Saturday morning. I don't know. I'm gonna try to, on the bye week, set something up so that I'm still doing something on Saturday morning. I don't know what it'll be. I was trying to figure that out the last time, but it just didn't work out. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
But
well, it's a per diem thing for me, so.
No, I don't.
So,
No,
yeah.
you should definitely. You take anything. Like if when it comes to like making money, and and you're like living your life, do your thing. Don't do this shit.
Well, right, but this is my like for you. This is one of my creative outlets, and the other thing is that when I do work Saturdays, I end up working a 6-day week, and it is very hard physically.
Yeah, it's hard to do.
And
It can be a very frustrating and emotionally draining thing.
Yeah,
that's for damn sure.
So it's always kind of a I consider balancing what the need is versus the taking care of me situation. So
right. So in Holly's case, it's not the needs of the many, needs of the Holly.
Well, there's only one me, right? The only person taking care of me is me. So if I'm feeling
I agree.
run down,
I think that we as a species are very much we're self-centered, wired to be self-centered. It's a DNA thing. It's we're wired to carry on this thing, whatever it is. I don't know, but it's something that's inherent. I know that for a fact.
Well, yes and no. I mean, because I work in a healthcare profession and I'm I'm a medical assistant and I help take care of people. I think one of the biggest struggles right now is for healthcare professionals is that there are not enough professionals to go around. And so they actually self-sacrifice and get very emotionally drained and physically drained to try to meet needs. Yeah. But that actually kind of decreases the care level because you have a limited amount of personnel resource.
And then you have people that go out and buy all kinds of shit and get worried about an epidemic.
Well, that is a different thing. It is,
which puts stress on that industry or that profession, the people in that profession, even more so.
It is very stressful for the healthcare industry if they cannot source like antiseptic hand wash or masks because other people are hoarding them because of a fear-based response.
Yeah. It's been a fucked up thing that's happened, that's gone on. And I don't know even how to address it at this point. It's like people are going out of their mind, and it's like, listen, have you seen any of the stuff that Dr. Drew's done?
No.
He lost his shit. He was like, stop. The media just needs to stop. Like he's very, very upset about it. He's like, no one reporting on this is a medical professional. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. He went off. I thought it was very nice because, like, statistically, the numbers just point to something else. Statistically, it's not as bad as everybody thinks. And the problem is that people aren't willing to understand that yes, will people die? But statistically, no more than in a normal flu season. Like, maybe a little higher, but they're just going out of their minds crazy about this thing, and it's causing so much panic, and I can't take it. I've gotten to the point where I've just started unfriending people, like, left and right over stuff like this. Like, just I can't take it. I can't deal with your complete ignorance.
Well, one of the things that concerns me is not so much the health effects, but the effect the fear response is having on the economy. Because of people being told to stay home and work from home, even if
Mhm.
they are well at times, it
Oh,
does
it's gonna cause ripple effects.
it slows down certain facets of how, you know, the marketplace works. You cannot have as much, you know, if you don't have the personnel to do the jobs, you're just not going to get what you need, and it will slow things down.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah. So.
Absolutely. And I think it's gonna have an effect. I
Mhm.
just don't think it's gonna have the effect that people think it's going to have. But
Mhm.
um
Right. So I mean, I think it's trying to just manage the risks with some, and be rational. Wash your hands. Uh, Avoid being, if someone seems sick, or if they've traveled to a high risk country, do what you feel comfortable with.
mhm.
Um, but know that right now the majority of the fatalities are in people who already are chronically ill. So, you know, protect those people.
Yeah. Take care of
Yeah,
people. We're not saying throw people to the wolves,
right.
you know.
Protect those
This isn't
people.
bring out your dead. This isn't that shit.
No, I mean,
Just
um,
fucking be good to everybody. Wash your fucking hands. Chill
yeah.
out. Don't
Well,
fucking don't go buy all kinds of that shit for no reason unless you've got a really dirty asshole.
well,
Then I would recommend you picking up some fucking shit paper, maybe a little extra. Maybe get
I mean,
yourself a bidet.
yeah. But I
Christ,
know,
people.
it's like because there's no one in my community right now that we know has coronavirus. It has not got to my community, but
Yeah.
I felt like a cold coming on, so I didn't get close to my parents when I visited them last night because I
Mhm.
don't want them to get sick. My dad has diabetes, that kind of thing. It isn't a life-ending thing, but be considerate of others, and
Oh yeah, I almost because I got glasses in case anybody didn't notice. I went to the optometrist the other day, and I think I sucked water or something when I was coughing or something because I developed like this really deep cough that's very indicative of like uh, like not like pneumonia but pneumonia-ish very bronchial, very deep, you know what I mean?
mhm,
um and it just hung on for like a couple of days, that cough, and
mhm,
I was just like, oh fuck, and it's just kind of now starting to settle out.
mhm,
But I was just like, oh god, no, don't tell me I friggin' already got a friggin' cold amidst all this bullshit.
mhm. Yeah. Well, and I
But
mean, the coronavirus is very similar to common cold.
yeah,
That's part of it too, is that it's hard to differentiate a little bit
yeah,
between them. Um, just be smart, and if you have questions, call your healthcare provider, and you know,
yeah, don't freak out. Like
uh,
the biggest thing that I've noticed listening to healthcare professionals on the podcast that I listen to is stop freaking out. Yes, people are going to be at risk to this, but just, take care. That's the thing. Take care. Just take the normal precautions and you'll be okay. Everything's going to be okay. This isn't going to go crazy. But they're acting like it's going to be the end of all times and that no one's responding properly. And, hey, while I may have issue with like the way the response has been, in comparison to other things, I don't think that everybody needs to freak out at the same time. I think it's a very manageable thing. But we'll see. We'll see. I haven't checked off survived the coronavirus pandemic yet. I haven't crossed that one off my list.
Okay.
I've got the list though.
You do.
Damn Skippy, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should have it.
Mm-hmm.
You can cross it off when you're all done. You survived SARS and what was that what was the virus there? The Zika. It's gonna make us all have small baby head people.
Yeah, that was the Zika virus.
The Zika virus. There was that one. There was I don't know. There's something, some other mosquito-borne illness that was going to kill us. Killer bees were going to kill us. You remember killer bees?
I do. Yeah.
Remember when killer bees were going to kill us? They made it up into Texas, and they were going to come and get us, Holly.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
never going to be safe from the killer bees. Now there's no
right.
bees. Now we'd love to have some fucking bees.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't really have the climate. They seem those Africanized honeybees like warmer climates. So,
yeah,
it's much more of a consideration. If we have viewers or listeners in Texas, that might
they definitely are dealing with some shit down there when it comes to those bees. But I mean, God, they were gonna cover the United States, and we were all at risk to the killer bee.
Right.
I don't know all that shit.
There's always something. It doesn't hurt.
You remember all the propaganda with that stuff, that type of stuff. They do it all the time. We live in a culture of fear. The whole idea, if it bleeds, it leads. Like, this is the if it bleeds, it leads story. Like, until something is bigger than the coronavirus right now, that's what's fueling the media.
Right.
Like, get them off track. Fucking coronavirus would be a fucking blip on the fucking radar going. Boop.
Right.
Like, it'd be gone in no time.
Yep.
Give them fucking. I mean, if they want to have Donald Trump pull out his pecker on fucking live television, for Christ's sake, that eliminate the coronavirus in a second. It'd be gone. They would be talking about that instead for the next however many days. Coronavirus would be page fucking 6.
Wow.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You are not wrong, but let's not see that. I'm all set.
I mean, sure, I'm all set too, but I'm just saying, if it happened, the coronavirus would be nothing. Nothing. Anyway, tarot cards. now that we've ranted about a fucking disease.
Do you feel like you've gotten that off your chest?
Well, I mean, it's fucking stupid. Anywho, yes, Pete, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who don't listen to the show, I shaved. And my head too. And the reason is because fuck you. All of you. The whole group of listeners. Everyone who listens to this show. Fuck you. I asked for like the bare minimum. Like, just like the hardcore people, the people that listen to this show every week. You, the few and the proud, to just go out and listen to the show a little more in a certain way. I want to tell you what happened over the course of, I don't know how many weeks it's been now that I gave you motherfuckers. Every week, the number of downloads has steadily gone down. It like literally went down to dick. And I finally like the last night yesterday I'd had enough. Like I was just like, I'm not keeping this fucking beard anymore. Fuck this shit. Yeah, I was like Superhuman. You ever seen Superhuman on on YouTube? Like, this is for juggalos and juggalettes, and then he jumps on something and he says, fuck this shit. Fuck this shit. Fuck this. I've had it. Yes. Yes. Fuck you too, Frank. I do it in an Irish accent, but I don't do one very well. So, I'd sound like doing the Lucky Charms commercial or some shit. I don't do that very well. But yeah, I'd had it. I needed to. If sleeping on it felt weird, it was yeah. So I was done. I had every fucking intention of dyeing it blue. Like, and here's the thing, like I gave up because it got down so low. I said, fuck it. Like, because if it like had jumped a little bit, I was just gonna be like, fuck it, I'll do it anyway. I was gonna do it. I was gonna fucking dye it all blue. And then you motherfuckers. So now, Holly, I'm done ranting.
All right, I'm glad you got that off your chest.
But tarot cards.
Tarot cards.
I brought mine. Mine, Holly. I got that one. And
show and tell.
Yeah, it's show and tell time. And I got this one. This is the classic.
Right. So the Rider-Waite tarot card deck is like one of like the classic, like kind of ubiquitous sets of cards.
Yes.
That most people are familiar with. So there's really out there kind of like there's the cards that are kind of based on this traditional tarot.
Yes.
And then there's kind of like other things. There's what they call oracle cards, which are not tarot based, but they often have like little messages on them or a certain kind of theme and are very picture oriented.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few other like standardized sets like tarot. And it has kind of become like a little niche industry where you can kind of go into a bookstore or kind of a those types of shops, and you can find all like hundreds of. Go on Amazon.com and look for tarot cards, and you are going to see that
it's my favorite thing to do when I go into like a bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
Find that section of the bookstore and see what they have.
Mm-hmm.
For tarot card, what different brands and stuff that they have. I'm just separating out my cards right now so that I can show some people some.
Right. So they are generally, always generally have a very beautiful imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And often each card will have a number. And with the tarot cards, there's
the major and the minor arcana in
correct.
the Rider-Waite deck.
The traditional tarot cards, they have what's called the major arcana, where each card kind of represents a step in kind of like the mythic journey. And there you go. So there's the Tower card. And the Magician.
You kind of can't see. He's in space. Magicians in space.
Yes, and then you have the minor arcana cards, which are the sun is a major.
Minor arcana is what you would like kind of associate with the cards that we play cards with today, almost.
Right. So they have what they have are the 4 suits, which are similar to like regular playing cards, which have hearts, spades, diamonds. But in the minor arcana, it's cups, wands, swords, and pentacles. But they are representative of the different energetic energies. Pentacles.
You can't see them.
You can't see them, but they are, or sometimes they're called coins.
All right,
but
here you go. Coins as well. This one you'll be able to see them better.
Mm-hmm. That's 3 of pentacles. And so kind of the meaning of the card. It kind of draws on what's in the picture.
Correct.
But they also have kind of bigger meanings. That the number they pull in numerology. So what does 3 mean? Combined with energy elements. So the pentacles are associated with earth energy or physical energy. So 3 of pentacles has a meaning, and the picture pertains to it. So you have these 2 sets with the major arcana and the minor arcana, and you know what usually happens is that you can shuffle them up, and kind of like the luck of the draw, or someone would say if there's whatever is the energy in your environment will help pull up the card that has a meaning for you.
Yeah, you just shuffle. I see. So you kind of know my feelings about a lot of this anyway. When it comes to tarot cards, oracle cards, whatever the case may be. You and I have both read a book called Illusions by Richard Bach.
Yes.
And I do not discount tarot cards, oracle cards, or anything of that nature when it comes to self-realization and self-growth. I've said this many, many times that I think that those types of things are great. And I think that tarot cards and or oracle cards and or anything that's used in that fashion can be great to achieve that goal of self-growth. I think to read cards for other people is folly. I think it's what's the word? Unless you're and even then it's you're playing with like strange things because you're playing on people. The idea that that you're reading the future or that you're reading something you're not. To me, you're not. You're reading when you're reading someone else's cards, you're reading the person. Whenever I did it, it was always very taxing. I would get headaches. I never understood why. And then I realized like what I was doing. And when I realized what I was doing, it became easy. I didn't get the headaches anymore.
Right.
And you're reading people. You're reading the people's reactions to the cards. Now, if you want to use this as a method for self-growth, I think they can be great to help you discover things about yourself, to move on past things, to find a better way. So in that way, I would say that, yes, they are a very good divining tool for oneself, to find that path that, that you're looking for, and not necessarily the path. Cause I think, we've talked about this before too, like that. I think the path is kind of already set. We can just it's more like a river and we can just kind of find a better way to navigate it. But I love the tarot. Like it's a great system. I love the idea of oracle cards. I love the idea of, asking a question and looking for an internal answer by going outward. Because that's what you're doing. You're looking for an internal answer. The cards aren't giving you anything. You're giving it's your reaction to the cards that matter. It's your response that matters. It's what you see that matters. You're the key element. It's not the card. It's not the to me, it's not the card. It's not the situation. It's the person.
Well, right. And I think that because the cards have so many layered of meanings, it is a little bit about how you react to the card. And you can get the same card at different times and it will mean different things to you because of something will stand out of one of the pictures, or
Mhm.
there are definitely multiple interpretations of every single card in any deck. So like I'm kind of in the same page as you, is that I find them much more valuable for myself as kind of an orienting tool. Like I will every once in a while, and this is another thing, is that for me, I don't know that if there is value at doing it every day, because
Right.
sometimes that muddles the situation. But maybe once a week or every couple weeks, I might pull a card.
Yeah, well, the
And
way you do it too, I think is it's a very meditative way. You look at it very, I want to say kind of introspectively, but that's not the word I'm looking for. You when you draw a card, you're really going into it. And to me, it's a very meditative way of looking at a card, what you do. I find it very fascinating and interesting. It's a meditative process to me, what you do.
right, what I do, and this is because of my kind of shamanic and energy healing work, I feel into the energy of the card, and I feel into um and for people who are not familiar with those things, that this is going to be kind of a woo woo, maybe abstract explanation. But
It's
if I
like
were to
Bob Ross painting.
exactly, Bob Ross painting, you know,
We got a happy little son.
I love the sun card, and I love that naked baby on the horse.
The naked baby on the horse. And then you got the moon card.
Yeah, the moon card.
And the moon is like in space.
Even like the lobster that's coming up from the deep,
Yeah.
like
And justice.
justice. Yeah, the sword, but at the same time, it's solid, and
Strength.
I love the strength card.
Yeah, it's a very cool card.
It is a very cool,
There's
but
death, which is a card which people like often associate with the wrong thing. It's a death is more of a change card, and here's the other one that people tend to misassociate:
oh
the
yeah, the
devil.
devil.
I mean, they're just cards of symbols.
Mhm,
To me, yes, they can be great tools
mhm.
for self discovery, uh, and finding something out about yourself. Because I think every time that you use your tarot cards, um, when used properly, you're discovering something about you. If you're really looking into things, if you're just being a jackass, you ain't gonna find anything out.
Yeah. I think like using them for predictive purposes, like trying to fortune tell or tell someone's future, but it's
Yeah.
like it's you know you don't know. You can make it one interpretation, and maybe it's meant to be, that energy is meant to be used in a different way. It is, and you can maybe put someone in a certain mindset, and then they um it's just a uncomfortable thing for me to do. And the very
Yeah.
few times people have asked me to read cards for them, and I will say, well, I'm just going to tell you the situation, the energy that I see for the situation right now, and you need to make your decisions for yourself to go forward. Yeah, the Hierophant. Yep.
Well, these are the other
Those are
set
all
that I have.
parts of the, that's a
Well,
minor Queen
that's the
of
minor
Pentacles.
arcana. But these are the other set that I have, the ones that are colored by Mary Hanson Roberts. Um, the world. Dun, dun, dun. I do like this set a lot. I've not used this one much over the years as much as the other one.
Hmm.
Excuse me. The other deck I was showing you, that was what was considered my ritual deck.
Hmm.
So it was used quite a bit. I had it out quite often. But yeah,
Yeah.
I found that reading cards for other people it's just folly. They're looking for something. They're trying to, and I've even gotten to a point where it's like the people that make money off these people, God love them at this point. You know why? Because they're fucking rubes. Then that's the way I see it. Like, if you can't see that this is something that, you're getting played by. I was just listening to Joe Rogan and he was like, I went to one once. I was just listening. He had one of the guys that wrote Freakonomics on. I was like, I went to a psychic and everything was wrong. Everything. Like, she got 0 right. Like, she said I was close to my dad. Don't even know him. Like, said something about him having a brother. Don't or what or something like nothing. Like, none of what they said was he was like, none of it was even close. Like, it just, and I tend to think that those people by and large are full of shit. Full of shit. I don't think that it is a good practice. And now I think that somebody that had a good degree in like therapy or I don't want to say psychiatry. Psychiatry is more like medicine based.
Like counseling.
Yeah, someone who knew what they were doing and was not being nefarious with
I've actually had this situation.
with
Seriously.
tarot cards.
They weren't tarot cards, but I was seeing a therapist. In fact, I didn't know it, and so a lot of times I will go. So Frank Smith has a comment. So the cards are an extension of your own inner all-seeing eye.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah,
To a degree, yes.
To a degree, yes, and I think that this is for me like it's a personal thing, and it helps. Sometimes it helps visualize what you're feeling if you can't quite put words to it, but also it is one way to kind of help you orient. But I am very someone who is in tune, like if I need a service, I will go on the internet, and this is almost like reading cards, but I will look through a number of. So I felt like I needed someone to talk to, so I looked through a number of websites for therapists in the area, and I found one that it kind of her website resonated to me, spoke to me, and I ended up going to see her, and she ended up being very much in my same good energy for me. That we had a really good therapist patient relationship, and one of the very first sessions she's like, this is just a fun thing I like to do. Here's a deck of oracle cards, but just spread them out and then pick one and then let's talk about it. And so we pulled out a card and we talked about it, and she at that point didn't know that I had some experience with cards, and she was like, but one of those things is that just sitting down and talking about the card and what it was a card that had maybe 3 words on it and what those things were bringing up for me, and then she could give her therapist perspective, ended up being a very helpful thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that way I do think that they're beneficial.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, if you have the right person,
Mm-hmm.
I think that looking at things in your life in that way, taking a look at it like, it'd be the same as like taking a moment of your life or a dream, for that matter, and breaking it down in the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Only you're taking something that you're gravitating towards,
Mm-hmm.
albeit a symbol or a picture.
Mm-hmm.
But you could do it with like a therapist could do it with a book of photographs.
Yep.
Like what find a photograph, take me to that photograph,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's talk about that. Why did you go to that photograph?
Right.
It's the same fucking type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think for me, like to see it as this, like I said, that I hesitate to say this extension of your own inner all-seeing eye. I think for you, for your personal growth, yes. For like divinatory purposes, not really. Like, I'm not there. And I don't think I'll ever be there to be able to say, yeah. But I think they're great to be able to, like, take a look at yourself. I think the way Holly does it is one of the more beneficial ways to look at cards. To take a card and look at it and see what it means to you, and to and not necessarily draw it out blind out of a deck. You can look through the cards. I think the argument could be made, yes, that your brain knows intuitively in some way where the cards are at in the deck. But I don't know. I don't know if drawing blind is ultimately the way to go either. But again, it's a response. So even if it's a blind card, it's your response to it that matters. It's what you see that matters. It's what comes up that matters. And it's not necessarily the card itself. But I think, like I said, I think they're a great tool. I wish I had. There's another deck, and I was telling you about. Excuse me, before the show, there's another deck by Mary Hanson Roberts that I had at one point, and I wish I still had it.
Yeah, it kind of is like a trendy thing for anyone who becomes like more of a metaphysical personality or out there, that they eventually develop their own deck, and so it's a little bit of
I would never have done that.
Yeah.
I always thought it was pretentious. Like I even thought, like, there's a couple of my friends who got the Crowley, the Thoth deck, and I was just like, even that, like, and as much respect as I had for some of the things that the man said, some, not all, some, I always thought, like, having your own tarot cards was a pretentious type of thing that these people did. Like, I don't know where with the Rider-Waite deck, like, that was like that was more of like a Golden Dawn style teachings. There's a lot of symbolism in there for related to the Golden Dawn. And I mean, we could go down the Golden Dawn rabbit hole with their methods, which I have likened now at this point in my life to brain hacking. I think that's what the Golden Dawn was trying to do.
Yeah.
They were trying to brain hack. I think that they were trying to brain hack other people and themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that they were doing it by using a complicated set of symbols that related to certain parts of your own psyche. And that they had an interesting method. They had interesting things that you did to become initiated and to learn and to rise up in the ranks. I have a whole book on it somewhere in this fucking room.
Yes. I think that the symbolism and the different things that are kind of embedded into the cards is it gives the original Rider-Waite kind of style a lot of depth. I actually don't like all the images. I tend to prefer decks of a different style that are the more surrealistic or dreamlike imagery, and those are the ones that feel more comfortable to me.
Well, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I brought up illusions, is because in that book he talks about, like, using anything, like, as like some type of divinatory self-exploration tool. Like, you could use the newspaper, you could use whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be this one thing.
Right, and you could actually, and there's ways to do it, to use just standard playing cards.
Yeah.
And I think that some of this became, developing playing cards over the years and what the numbers mean, and, associating different suits with different elemental energies.
Yeah. No, and there are people that will tell fortunes using just a deck of playing cards.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting what it's all become, like, all these different things. Like, I remember when I was doing some research about the Ouija board when I was looking into the history of that. And like the fact that in the early 1900s, like people held seances like regularly. It was like a fad. Like this thing
Yeah.
people did on Friday nights. They
Yeah.
got together and they would light candles and they would sit around a table and try to talk to the dead. They probably got shit-faced drunk too. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yep. I mean, it is the 19th century is kind of like the golden age of spiritualism, and where it was kind of like
But then you fast forward to when we were kids. I don't know about you, but like a fucking Ouija board was considered devil worship.
well, I mean, and this goes through how like the different generations reinterpret and revise different spiritual teachings. And we tend to live in New England. We live in New England, but which is really based on kind of the Puritan
The puritanical bullshit.
and taking some things very literally.
Didn't you, mate? How could you have any pudding?
Right. And it's similar with astrology, where
listen, I love my grandparents to death, but I want all of them to know they're all dead at this point. Okay. I want them all to know I eat my dessert before my dinner.
Oh boy, you are just purging your secrets today.
It's so true. Like I will make it a point sometimes because I can't, like, my stomach will not be able to handle having dessert too. I will, if I can't, I'll eat my dessert beforehand. I just, you know what? I love all of them to pieces, but in that case,
yeah, and to like, I'm reading Frank's comment too. My mom can read the cards. She always keeps some, but I always thought she might be a witch. Just one of the good ones in case she sees this. And it's like, I think, yeah, that's the comment. And I think that reading the cards has kind of been like this tradition over the centuries, has been like the part of the women's wisdom tradition of, having commonplace items and looking at them and getting some kind of impressions, or using it as a tool to focus kind of like your intuition.
yeah, no, it's a good way to focus your energy.
And I mean, there are other things like casting the bones or dice, and
runes. I have a set of runes somewhere in here.
Runes. There's like I think it's called the bagua or something like that in China, and it's like almost every society has some kind of method of kind of tuning into those energies and seeing what the energies are. And it's almost an ubiquitous thing, but there are also other religious sects that say, well, no, don't look. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, no, and like I grew up with, my grandmother burned. My father had come home with a set of tarot cards from one of his adventures out somewhere. And then they had gone away. I can't remember where they'd gone on vacation, and my grandmother had come over the house to take care of us. She found the tarot cards. She burned them. Just threw them right in the fire.
Yeah.
Done. See ya. Yeah. Bye-bye. I was just like, whoa. It was kind of eye-opening because it was like she just came and my father didn't like really respond to it. Like he just let it go. It was like, wow, you let like I was blown away because I was like, you let your mom, like at this point in your life, like you're a grown man, you let your mom still come in your house and throw out your cards? More specifically, burn them?
Right.
So I mean, I don't know.
There is a fear. There is a fear, and particularly in a lot of the Christian spiritual sects, that these kind of tools will open you up to bad spirits, and that you will somehow risk your soul and your salvation. And
yeah, no, I get that, and I get where that fear came from, and it was very misplaced. What it again, it goes back to that whole fear thing, this over exaggeration, this bullshit. It's what caused them to burn people at the stake. You know, over this over abundance of fear that it gets put into people that causes people to kill in the name of something, or
Mhm.
to maim in the name of something, or ridicule in the name of something. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy talk. Just shut up. Just be who you are. As long as you're not hurting anybody, shut your mouth. Or as long as they're not hurting anybody, shut your mouth. I people get upset like with the whole religious thing when it comes to like the Satanists that are running around trying to put up statues. Listen, they're doing it. Is it the way that I would go about doing it? No, but they're doing it as a response because of all the shit that just gets shoved in people's faces in one direction, and that everything else is considered, shit. You don't see like fucking Pan being revered on the state capitol. Dionysus doesn't have a fucking you just don't see that shit. And they're overdoing it. But it's that type of response, that's the type of stuff that turned me to looking towards other things. Like it turned me away from Christianity. That response. That this is all evil shit. And you worship the devil. I read Stephen King novels too, which I couldn't convince. Like that was the fun one for me because there were other people in my family who were adults who read Stephen King, but they weren't considered evil. But I was.
Mhm.
It was very odd to me.
Right. And so historically, yeah, it is true though. It is one of those things where a lot of the kind of wise women traditions of using cards and herbal medicines and being in tune with nature kind of got lumped into witchcraft of a more demonic nature.
You
And
know what? You know what I think it was, Holly. I think in the beginning it was kind of cute. Like they were like, "Oh, she's like the hippie girl at the edge of the village," and and then things just went horribly wrong as she got older. And the cute little hippie girl didn't look so cute anymore.
what, and she magnetized everybody's hate towards her? Is that what you're
And then,
saying?
no, and then everybody was just like, "Oh, she doesn't look like the cute little hippie girl on the edge of the village anymore. Let's stone her." It's awful. Like it's an awful thing.
The
But what
history is very
it's awful.
awful.
I mean, look at the fucking Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah,
For Christ's sake. You
right.
know?
So
Like that's the thing. Like people love to bring up, and I'm not trying to belittle the Holocaust. Dear God, people, don't try to say that I am. I'm not. I think it was a horrible fucking thing. But the Spanish Inquisition happened too. And that was done by the church. It wasn't Hitler.
right.
So like the persecution has gone on across all religions. So many different people have felt it.
Hmm.
It's not just witches or whoever. Like there are so many people who have been persecuted for their religious beliefs. The
Hmm.
thing that I lose my fucking shit over is the idea that like one wants to take more credit. It's horrible that it happened at all to anyone. That's the thing. Like let's get to there. It's horrible that it happened. It sucks. But I like the witch thing. It's a lot of the stuff with the witch thing. It's like they take too much. They think too much credit is taken by people with that. Too much. What's the word I'm looking for? Stolen valor. Stolen valor. You know what I mean? Like people who get into witchcraft and then they're like, my ancestors. Really, dude? You picked up a book by fucking Cunningham on the shelf 2 weeks ago.
Well, right. So I think the thing is that there is a lot of generational trauma about different points of zealotry where one group has persecuted another group. It's not just the kind of, and I almost, when you say a witch, that kind of lumps a lot of people who could have been like, earth spirituality practitioners. They
Yeah,
could have
no,
been Celt.
there's all kinds of different
There's
things.
all kinds, and just like with other groups in other countries. I mean, in Africa, when we were growing up, there was like the Zulus and the Hutus or something like that, and like in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of Africa, that was a great genocide going on, and it was like I remember people being like, "This is happening," and it seems like no one's doing anything about it.
Right.
Um, there is still, unfortunately, zealotry and the mass killings of people happening in the world
Yeah.
that
Happens.
we,
Still happens to this day.
in the situation in Syria. I know that is more of an official state war, but um, what is happening there by the kind of the forced migration of Syrian people to escape a war situation, and yet they have no place to go,
Yeah.
is very heartbreaking, and it is like that is just another trauma that is happening. Um,
Yeah.
I don't really know.
It's never. Listen. It's never gonna end because for some reason, when a group of human beings get together and they look a certain way or they follow a certain belief structure and then they run into other people who are different, they want to kill them. Like it's a weird thing. I don't understand it. I don't understand why that's the thing that happens.
Yeah. Can
Like,
you imagine if we ever really get alien civilizations who colonize here?
oh, we're dead.
What's
We're
going to
dead in a
happen?
minute.
Is that like an all-out species warfare because
Oh,
this is
well,
our
listen,
response?
human beings, like, listen, they'll fucking lose this shit. People in Texas will be like, "You can't take my shit." I mean, it'll be bad. It'll be bad. We are so not prepared for that. We're so not prepared, and B, the law of I mean, statistically speaking, the more advanced civilization is going to take over. We're done. I mean, it's not. I don't look at any type of alien interaction. I mean, a benevolent aliens. I mean, maybe could happen. Maybe they come and they'd be like, "Hey, this is some stuff we have that we'll show you how to do," and then we, of course, as people, human beings, will use that information and fuck it right up because that's what we do. That's what we do. We'll have to make it go fast. We'll have to take whatever the aliens have and make it go faster.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't going slower than them damn aliens. That's what I see. I'm sorry. That's what I fucking see, people. You can take it however you want. I don't give a fuck. That's how I see people on this planet, and wherever the fuck they are. I may have sounded like a little bit of a redneck, but that's everywhere. They're all the same. China, Japan, Russia, everybody wants to be the best. It's why there's a fucking Olympics.
Anyway, we are we are now really off course.
No, we're not off course.
We're not.
Fuck no. Fuck no.
All right, but back to the
It
cards.
all relates to cards. I mean, listen, you can go to a casino anywhere. There's a lot of holes everywhere, not just in the desert. No, I think it relates. I mean, listen, to the winner goes the spoils. The history is rewritten, or the history books are written by the winners. The people who get suppressed. I mean, this stuff that it's sometimes a lot of this information, like the stuff about the tarot cards and the symbolism, etc. It's amazing that it's continued on because of how much suppression was put on the stuff by the regimes in charge. I mean,
Mhm.
like we grew up when we were growing up, Holly, the influence of Christianity over our lives, like I hesitated going into the new age section of the bookstore because I was afraid people would look at me.
Yeah, I remember that as well.
You know, that's I mean, so in and of itself, that's important.
Mhm.
It's important to know that there are people in charge that do not like open-minded thinking.
Mhm. Yep.
You know, to this day, we still have people who can't understand. Like, you know, he just dropped out of the race. God love him, little Pete Buttigieg. Uh, you know, the cutest little friggin' presidential candidate I think we've ever had. He looked like a little boy I'd want to buy popcorn from, you know, from the Boy Scouts.
Jeez.
He did. Tell me I'm fucking wrong. You
Oh
know,
my
and
god.
everybody flips out because they're like, how you know, how do I explain to my kids if they see the president kissing another man? You just answered your own question. You explain it to them. How do you explain it to them?
They are just two people who love each other, and you
Pretty
just
pretty fucking simple. But still, we still live in a
yeah.
society where there are people running around going, "How in the goddamn how am I supposed?" You just fucking do. It's that simple.
Mhm.
You know, that shit should not matter.
Mhm.
Shit should not fucking matter. Shouldn't even be in the ballpark of mattering where that man sticks his dick or lets his husband stick his dick. I don't give a fuck. You know, and neither should any of you.
Mhm.
But it's those types of outmoded, outdated, that type of thinking that fueled the types of things that we're talking about when it comes to these systems that are demonized
Mhm.
because they're cards with pictures on them. Oh no.
Mhm.
Oh no.
Mhm.
That can hurt somebody. It's a gateway card to other things. You know, fucking what am I gonna fucking pick up the Necromonicon, a fictional fucking book, and summon demons? I mean, Jesus Christ. The Lesser Key of Solomon. I mean, what do these people fucking think? That's why I think it's important to talk about that type of stuff. It it
Mhm.
and it does relate.
No, yes, I absolutely agree with your point because it is an example of where something that um is really
Isn't
been
isn't hurting anyone.
isn't hurting anyone, is been turned into a fear device, and for which it then elicits a defensive response.
If they wanted to get rid of tarot cards, all they gotta do is tell Christians that it's gonna ruin marriage. It'd be fucking all over. All done.
Mhm.
I pick on them, but I grew up Christian, so I can't help it.
Mhm. But, you don't really even need a card is the other thing, is that you can cast stones and you can,
Right, and we talked about that. Like I said,
yeah.
open the newspaper.
Um, yep.
Have you ever used like the runes or anything like that?
I have not. Um,
I have a set. I actually made a couple of sets when I was younger.
yeah.
I took some dowels, cut them down the sides to give them up and down designations instead of them being, excuse me, just round. And painted them up and painted the runes onto them. Yeah, I think I was gonna wood burn a set at one point. I think I gave a set to my father. Don't know if he still has them or not, but I know that I gave him a set. But I actually made a set of runes, which was fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, and in fact, I didn't really even. You have a much longer history with tarot cards than I do, because in some ways, even my family was more conservative than your family, and I did not investigate how I felt about them for a very long time because of the fears and exactly what that they are like dark tools or something. And I can say like no, I have never felt like this was ever a dark or evil thing once I used it, but I understand how the uneducated might go to that place as it's something that it's not understood. But and in fact, I had picked up and this in the beginning always was oracle sets, and I have had a set of tarot cards, but sometimes I do find the imagery in the traditional tarot personally too dark for me. And I tend to like things that have sets that either have more magical whimsical type of imagery or are much more surreal and dreamlike. And
you might not even need to pick up like the necessarily oracle cards, like find something even because when you said like dream-like, there's a board game which is based on like these imagery, these cards. I think it's called Dixit, where you make up a story. And I think like cards like that might like be right up your alley.
Yeah, I have what's called the Oracle of Mystical Moments by Katrine Welts Stein. The pictures are very beautiful and um and very dreamlike and surreal, like I said. And the descriptions are actually quite brief. Because most of these card sets will come with a book that will help kind of give you pointers on the interpretation. I tend to go with my own interpretation a lot more, and not what the little guidebook tells you. I did have I think the Doreen Virtue, like Archangel Tarot, and I ended up giving it away. It had very beautiful, intricate pictures. It was a very thick deck. It had a lot of cards, and it just ended up feeling too overwhelming. And and it's interesting. Doreen Virtue was kind of a new age personality, and she had initially done a lot of books on angels and connecting with angels and that kind of stuff. And then she developed some tarot cards and like lots of personal improvement things. And she ended up going kind of the other way, where she kind of went back to her more Christian upbringing and then sort of denounced her cards. And she had made many other decks with other people, and then she's like, well, if you still follow me, then I'm at the place now where I'm getting rid of my decks. But and I didn't get rid of that deck because of how she changed her position. I got rid of it because I didn't really feel like I loved the imagery on the cards anymore, and I found a better deck. So I think that's one of those things that's really important, is that you need to get pictures that resonate with you, and that the symbols in them make sense in your own personal kind of like symbology or imagery.
What you're looking for, they got to feel right to you.
Absolutely.
If you're gonna use them, it's gotta feel right to you. And like I said, you can use any type of thing. Like, and like Holly was saying, there's all different. There's runes. There's the bones. You could have a book. Like literally, you could have a book where you just open up the book to a page, or pick something somehow from that book, and go to a passage in that book. And it's the same type of thing.
Mhm. And then, sometimes, and this has happened to me, I don't really love it anymore, but when I was learning about the meanings of the different other cards, I would watch YouTube videos of other people reading the cards, not so much to get a energy read for myself, but just to listen to what their interpretations were. And so
Mhm.
a lot of times it did have some kind of, so you can listen to anyone talking about these personal improvement messages and get a beneficial message if
Yeah.
it's a good reader and it's a positive thing. Now if it's one of these people who's you know talking about dark energy, like, I don't know, that's not my vibe. I'm not going there. I'm not going to listen to that person or anyone that's giving you like really specific things. But I think if you're curious about it and what kind of like how the imagery works and kind of like the kind of big overall picture of what the major and the minor arcana are, you know you can watch tarot card readings on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of shit you can watch on YouTube.
For real.
You watch fucking everything on YouTube.
Yeah.
Just about.
Mhm.
um, I think I'm gonna wrap it up for today, Holly. But I mean, we could go down a few other avenues just from this show. I
Mhm.
think. One thing I think we should go down is the Golden Dawn. Like that was a group of people that kind of were. I don't want to say integral. I think they were huge. They were big, and they made a huge impact on how people look at societies of spiritual learning. Let's call it that.
Like the mystery school. I think they're a mystery school, right?
Yeah, a mystery school. Yes, yes.
So there are
Um,
lots of different mystery schools, and I think, you
and
know,
they were made up of like very prominent people at the time.
mhm.
Um,
I
excuse me.
actually, I really don't know anything about them. That is much
That would
more
be a
for
good one to you to dive into. So we can talk about that, what we want to do. I think that would be a good one to look into at some point because, like we
Mhm.
just talked about the Rider Waite deck, and and Waite were both in the Golden Dawn.
Yes.
As well as Aleister Crowley, and a bunch of other people.
Mhm.
But we can get into that at a later time. But until next time,
Oh,
everybody, what? Yes.
here's a before you do that, a thought that I saw was the can talk about the Paracas skulls, the from Peru,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And
and
the
the Denisovians.
yeah, and weren't we going to talk about the big spheres too?
We were talking about maybe doing an episode on the big round spheres and like the Olmecs and the Toltecs
Yeah.
of Central America.
Yes, yes, yes. And for anybody who's still wondering, I did speak with the archaeologist that I'm going to be having on the show. Um, Hopefully soon. She's going to be coming on. We spoke last night, so I'm hoping that her and I can get together. It will probably be an impromptu, spur of the moment thing. So just be looking for it, people. That's all I can tell you. But yeah, we'll figure out a topic for not next week because Holly will be busy.
Well, Holly will be working,
Yes.
but making money, so
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah, it's important. So until the next time, we will figure out some type of a topic to give to you people. And I will be live tomorrow to discuss alternate reality games on the 40 and Slip. It's a topic that I came across. Not that I came across. I mean, it's heard about it before, but I didn't realize how big of a thing this was. But anyway, we'll be talking about that tomorrow night. And until then, everybody have a wonderful Saturday.